This is the Omega Speedmaster Professional, which some of you may know as the Moonwatch. And what I have here is the Stixx Invisible Watch Protection Kit. Now a lot of you know a watch like this is often a pretty sizable investment, so you want to protect it as much as you can. So what Stixx has done is they've developed a watch protection kit that is very similar to an automotive paint protection film, but it's got little tiny pieces that you can put all over your watch to help protect it from dings, nicks, and scratches. So if you guys want to stick around, I'm going to show you how to install this onto this. So we're going to start with a little unboxing of the protection kit itself. So this is how it arrived, and actually this box shipped from China, and I believe the US Customs actually opened it and inspected it before it was sent. But it looks inside like nothing has actually been used. It's still sealed up here, but it's got, you know, some decent packaging. Comes with a little claw and a couple, looks like alcohol wipes, a pair of tweezers to help you with installation. In here you have the, looks like a QR code to be scanned there, and inside you have all of the parts, all of the little pieces. And that seems to be about it. So let's see, installation instructions can be found here. So I'm going to review those and then we'll take the next step. Before we get started, let's talk about some of the tools you're going to want to have ready. The first thing you'll need is a cup of water or a mist bottle. I've added a little bit of dish soap just to help the parts slide around a little bit before they're pressed firmly into place. You are going to need something to dry with. This towel that it comes with is fine, or you could use a paper towel. The tweezers that came in the kit. I also have this, which is it's like a credit card, very similar. You could use something like that, but it's got a little rubber tip, so it'll help apply pressure in certain areas if needed. I've also found that when working on small detail things like this, it's good to have a headlamp ready to go. Finally, I like to use a blow dryer to help get certain pieces to conform a little bit better, or it even helps them stick once you heat them up and dry them out a little bit for areas that may not want to stick. And then finally, if you do have a watch with a Hesalite crystal, as this one does, or any sort of plastic on there, you might want to consider getting some polywatch and polishing up the watch before you start. Also, before I've started, I went in and I did polish the crystal. I washed this watch thoroughly. It does come with alcohol pads in case you don't want to wash your watch, but this one's waterproof, and I wanted to make sure I got all the oils really well, dried it very well just in case, so that it's ready to go. So now that I have everything in place, I'm going to start getting to work. As you get started, a wise thing to do is to look at the pieces and make sure that you have a good understanding of where they're going to fit on the watch. So here I've aligned all of the pieces of the face, the dial, and you can see over here, obviously, the protection for the links. One thing I did find, I tried on one of these pieces already, and I found that you really don't need any soap at all. In fact, you barely need any water. But what I would recommend doing is starting with one of the easier pieces. So I'm going to grab one of these links here just to get a feel for how the material behaves. I peel it off with the tweezers there. And then I'm just going to apply it here very carefully. And it's a little bit stuck to my tweezer actually. I'm going to take it off and move it around again. You can kind of adjust it with your finger once it's sort of in position there. The nice thing about this is that this stuff is actually very forgiving until it's cured, so you can kind of slide it around and get it right where you want it. And then once you have it where you want it, you're going to want to, it's good to have something to dry again and give it just a little squeeze to help firm it into position, or fix it into position. And then when I'm done here, I may go over the entire watch, but that gives me an idea of how this stuff behaves. And so I'm going to go around the entire bracelet, and then I'm going to work on the dial and the actual case. Now that I've been doing this for a while, I'm going to show you the method that seems to work best for me for most parts. So in some cases you'll need the water if you need a little bit of help moving and sliding the part into position, but for simple pieces like these little links, all you have to do is take the part dry, try to center it after of course you've cleaned the link off. Try to center it as best as you can and wait for it to touch. Kind of bring it down, and you can see there it's tacked itself down, and then that gives you a little bit of ability to readjust it if needed, rotate it around. And then I've been using this part, this tool. I make a little line right across the middle to tack the middle down, and then from there I slowly push the air out. If you do get air trapped in, it'll eventually come out by itself once this cures. But using this technique, I'm able to do it without leaving too much in there anyway, so it gives you a pretty nice result. As you can see there, it's pretty clean. Again, when the light is off, you almost can't even tell it's there. So I've come to a more challenging part, this little link right here. Now this is one where I did use the water to help kind of slide it into generally the right position. The next thing I'm going to do is actually warm it a little bit with the blow dryer, so that because it curves a little bit, so the blow dryer will actually help it conform and adhere to the surface. So let's do a little bit of heat here. See if that helps at all. And then I'm just going to lightly press it down with my thumb. Still not really sticking yet, but you have to be a little bit patient with it. I'm going to press it gently. Get my little drying cloth so that any excess moisture comes out when you squeeze it down a little bit like this. Sorry if I was out of frame there. And now it's starting to kind of align a little bit better. So I'm going to give it a little bit more heat, and I'm going to keep repeating that process until I get it all the way down. Now you don't need to get it scalding hot, just a little bit of warmth just to help you. And you can see it's starting to seat a little bit better there. And now it's pretty much fully seated. So I'm going to keep pressing on it a little bit more, but hopefully that gives you the idea of how to get this thing to sit. Okay, so now half of the bracelet has been fully stickered up. Can you tell which side? It's really hard to see in person here. And even if I turn on this bright headlamp, you know, it's this side that's been done. There's not a whole lot of difference there. If you look carefully in person, you can see it if you look with a bright light. But another point I'll make is that the case and crystal have already been done as well. And if you weren't looking for it, you probably didn't notice that. Now, a lot of this, you know, there's a little bit of haziness or some water that got trapped under there, but all this is going to dry up a lot nicer. It'll sort of cure on there, and it's going to look a lot better. Now a couple tips that I'll point out are that at the bottom side of this watch, at the bottom side of the bracelet, it looks like the links get a little bit narrower as it tapers down. So what I had to do was I had to take these little stickers and hold them with a pair of tweezers and use a sharp pair of scissors and trim them down a little bit before installing, just so that there's no overhang here. So that's a tip that I would use. And then again, the blow dryer is useful in certain areas where you need to get it to conform a little bit better. But overall it's going pretty well, so I'm going to get the rest of this thing finished up. And here is our finished product. I must say, under normal light, it's really almost impossible to see. You really have to look for it. And even when I turn on my high-powered headlamp here, it's still really difficult to see. I can see a little bit of air still caught under there. It almost makes it look like little scuffs or scratches for now, but that's all going to dry out and it's going to look really nice when it's done curing. So overall, my final thoughts are it's about $90 for this kit. It's not 100% fully matched to sizing, but it's really, really close. With some very minor tweaks, you can make it fit very well. So, for that cost, when you're talking about protecting a watch of this type of value, I'd say it's money well spent. And even if it starts to kind of peel up and, eventually have to come off, it's still going to extend the life of the watch considerably. It's going to look pretty new when this stuff comes off it, even if it takes a year or two. So pretty pleased with the results. Hopefully you guys found this useful. And if you did, feel free to give it a like. Thanks.